All right, so welcome to the live stream. We are recording this now, so if you were late to show up or you have to leave early, no worries. As soon as I'm done, I will go ahead and upload this, and then once YouTube finish processing it and all that crap, I'll post the link in the Discord and all of that good stuff. So just a couple quick announcements before we start diving into the charts. Yes, I do have cancer now. That is confirmed. It is in early stage 2. Thank God it's not worse than that. So I'm going to be actually going to a oncologist later this week on Wednesday to figure out treatment options and stuff like that. I'm probably going to opt for them to cut me open again and remove the lymph nodes, hit me with some flash radiation, and then hopefully I don't have to do chemo, or if I do, I only have to do one round of it. Really not trying to get sucked into doing chemo. Everybody that I've talked to that has cancer or has had cancer has told me if you've got the option to just remove whatever is remaining, then trust me, you want to do that instead of being in and out of hospitals for the rest of your life. So that's probably what I'm going to be opting for, especially considering I'm actually also trying to be moving out of the state soon, like within 2-3 months. So there's that. I am feeling good. I really appreciate all the love and support, guys. That really does mean a lot to me and my family. It's definitely been rough to get through and to overcome both physically and mentally, and just kind of, let that simmer. But anyway, besides that, everything is all good here. So, I'll keep you guys updated as things move along. Now, in terms of Bitcoin, let's go ahead and head over to the charts real quick. I don't want to dwell too much on that stuff. Those of you weirdos that are like, I want to see the scar, just go on my Twitter. I post it there, sickos. Anyway, all right, let's go switch over to the charts here. I think my border is up so that you guys can still see me over on the left side of your screen here. Okay. Okay, Bitcoin, right? So this is the chart. We're actually going to start higher up here on the weekly once we get there. But for now, let's get this shit off the screen. And for now, before we start getting into this, let's take a look at some of our, not really fundamentals, but let's take a look at some of our analytics and stuff. And that includes major legacy markets as well. You guys know that I don't like to bore you with this stuff, so I go over it very quickly. All these links are up in the important links thing in the channel. So most of these things are 90% of them are free. I'll mention which ones aren't as I work my way through them. If you're new here, I think there's actually a couple new guys in here that haven't been in any of the streams before. So I'll let you guys know. So let's see, Monday, not much going on. We've got the consumer credit change today. That's not really going to have too big an effect on the market. Next week, let's see, we have the European Union's employment changes. So that's going to be a little bigger. Note auction, API closes, goods and services, goods trades, wholesale inventory. This is actually probably going to be more important than it usually is, just because of the supply chain issues are starting to get worse now because of, this potential World War III situation that we have going on. And China's CPI numbers are coming out as well tomorrow for Tuesday. So that's pretty much all that's happening today and tomorrow. There's a lot that's happening tomorrow, but not very much that I think is going to be actually impacting the price of Bitcoin so much necessarily. But obviously, Tuesday is going to be a really big day for Forex market. So if you trade Forex, I highly recommend checking out this website. Even if you trade Bitcoin, those numbers, it'll just, if you're looking for things like CPI, unemployment, labor, like any kind of numbers that have to do with labor, unemployment, consumer product indexes, housing markets, stuff like that. Those are like the big numbers that normally come out in the United States, at least, that affect the markets the most. So that's the reason why I use this, is because I don't know those dates off the top of my head. This site gives you a really, really good overview of, okay, this is what's happening this week. Okay. And you can even set alerts on these too. This site's completely free. They also have an app as well. So make sure you guys check that out. Anyway, not much going on today and tomorrow that I think is really going to affect the price of Bitcoin, unless obviously President Biden or something comes out and does something, or there's some major news event regarding the war or whatever. All right, so starting with funding rates anyway, most of the funding rates are still negative. However, a lot of them look like they're flipping over. Obviously, that's because of that uptick in price that we saw earlier over the night and into this morning so far. So that's a good thing. That's actually really good. Let's take a look at our liquidations real quick over the last couple hours and just kind of see what's happened here. Got a ton of people messaging me. He's saying that apparently this did not fix it, and that's not a good thing. So there's only one more thing that I can try, and I'm trying it right now, and then we'll see if that works. But okay, cool. So one of the options that I ticked off, apparently that worked. So apparently hardware acceleration on Discord, when you have it enabled for yourself, makes your video quality look like total crap. Anyway, continuing, liquidations are really, really low so far for the day. Like this is very, very low. Normally this is up into like the 200 or 300s. So that's actually kind of unusual here. Let's take a look at our longs versus shorts real fast and see if this can tell us anything. Let's look at the last hour. Kind of a toss up here between long and short. BitMEX is super long. Durbit is super long. Bitfinex is super short. Bybit is short. Huobi is short. Kraken is short. So this looks like most exchanges are flipping short here, probably because we're coming up to an area of resistance. Okay, so keep that in mind. Let's take a look at the last 4 hours. This is where it starts getting a little dicey. So look, yeah, obviously that makes sense. So for the move up, most of the exchanges were long. Deribit, Bitfinex, whatever this exchange is, BitMEX, Bybit, all of those were long. The rest of them were either break even, like really super even. Even Binance, FTX, and BitGet and OKEX were long as well. So basically long all the way across the board here for the last 12 hours, pretty much at a standstill. So that's pretty much it for that. I'm not going to bring up the order books or anything. You guys can pretty much do that on your own. I also have an entire video that I did for members that's uploaded in the educational thing for members of the Discord, the training videos. I have one on order books and order flow and stuff like that. So that's all I'm going to mess with that. Now, what I do want to do, though, is I want to scroll through here on Scalp Index. Oh, by the way, coinglass.com and Scalp Index, these are also free up there in the important links section in the Discord. So I have literally all of these bookmarked in a folder. When I bring up a new tab, they're all right here. Okay, I keep all those in one place. Anyway, so let's see. Exchanges starting to flip long. That's because of this move to the top side. It looks like we're double tapping resistance up here. So decent place to be shorting. Looks like over the nighttime, we've had some smaller spot bids filling. These are all buys so far. These two are sells. Wow, big 10 million buy. I guess what was that on the 5th? So that was over the weekend. Another 7 million buy over the weekend. So most of these have been really big buys, some sells, but mostly buys here. This might have been the same person that sold at what, 38.6? And then bought back higher. Damn, that sucks. Really, these are really big sells here. So most of these sells were over the weekend here, and most of these were either this or it was this move to the downside here. So this one is really notable. That one's almost $12 million. So that's quite a bit. But recently, over the last couple of days, it's been mostly buys, which is a good thing. Now, what worries me is this open interest here. I know that this is just for BitMEX or whatever, so the open interest doesn't really matter that much on that particular exchange. However, this is going to be a pretty drastic lower high here on the open interest with an equal high in terms of price. Okay, so that's what's known as exaggerated divergence, when you have an indicator staying flat and you've got the price action staying flat and you've got a lower high here on your indicator. Okay, that's exaggerated divergence. Okay, so not really too much to go over there. This would definitely be a short for me on the lower time frames. At least this is a 1 hour time frame, but I like to wait for confirmation. Anyhow, let's switch over here to highblockcapital.com and let's take a look at some liquidation levels. Okay, so let's see. This is Binance tier 4. Now, Highblock Capital, these are not free. I highly recommend getting these, though. I use these every day, especially with stop placement and things like that. We're just getting to the point now where there has been just so much liquidations of longs that it's pretty much tapped out. I mean, it's grown up to the $10 billion level since the beginning of the month. So not even very much time here. And we've, successfully wiped out, almost $10 billion or more, actually, 11 billion from the markets. Okay, so that's a lot. And there's just as much liquidity above us now. That's easily illustrated by all of these blue lines to the top side. Those are all short liquidations. Okay, so the way that this tool works is any line that's above the price is a short liquidation. The colors denote the leverage, and obviously below the price would be a long liquidation. So let's just zoom in here real quick and just look at our most recent price action. This is one of the reasons why I like this, is because you can zoom in and you can really pinpoint where these estimated liquidation prices are. Note that I said estimated. There's no third-party service that's ever going to nail these on the nose because they are estimated. The only two people that know what your specific liquidations are for any leverage positions on an exchange is you and the exchange. Okay. And that's a big reason why crypto isn't fully regulated here in the United States yet. And that's a topic of discussion for another time. Anyway, on any retraces here, I would kind of expect at least these 200x ones to get swept at like 38.7. There's another one here at 38.6 and then another one at 38.4. But there's some pretty big blank areas in those spaces here, namely after this last 100x long. There's a 50x like right below it, and then there's these really big gaps down here. So I don't think that if the bears would need a lot of significant pressure to be pushing this price back down and be losing this previous retracement low that we had. So we had a low, we had a higher low, we had a third higher low, and then we started making higher highs. Okay, so we put in a higher high here, another higher low, a higher high here. Now we're putting in what is presumably going to be a higher low. Okay, so when I said, hey, this is a good place to short, I'm mostly referring to scalping. Okay, I would not really be planning on holding a short position too much longer at this point, but we're going to go ahead and look at the charts anyway. Before I do that, I want to take a look at what our order blocks are. Okay, so again, this indicator is free. This one was made by Spaceman. These are basically just key levels, which are pretty much order blocks. Okay, so you've got your daily opens, weekly opens, Monday highs, lows, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so we did have one naked point of control above us here, this yellow line from yesterday. Okay, so we did just sweep that, and now we're coming back down to our first volume weighted average price standard deviation here. Okay, so these let me take this off and just kind of explain how this whole system works, right? Okay, so we've got our levels here and we've got our visible ranges. Okay, so that's how points of control are generated. Okay, so you've got the session, which is for the day, and then where the most volume is traded, that's your point of control. If the price doesn't come back and touch that level, it stays there and it gets classified as a naked point of control. Okay, so our naked points of control from yesterday, it was just tapped this morning. And our point of control for right now, at least, sits right at where our previous daily low was at about 38,100. Okay, so low for the week so far is 37.6. Keep that number in mind. Those normally get swept again. We put in a Monday low. Previous weekly low, we didn't exactly sweep that. So if we do get some kind of like bigger retracement, that would be like a confirmation of a further move to the downside is if we come back and we sweep this previous weekly low here. This is probably the level that we want to see untouched. This would be a confirmed longer term short, in my opinion. Just because of how far down this is. It's about 37,500. So I use this in general to kind of see where my order blocks are, which points of control are likely to get hit or retested for the day or for the week. And then I use that in conjunction with the rest of my analysis, which we'll see in a second, to kind of come up with a game plan. Okay. I don't really do too much scalping anymore. I do mostly swing trading now, but this layout is actually really good for the scalping as well, as Kike and Alex, who is not in the stream, will tell you. Anyway, so if we take these off and I just go ahead and explain, and I just go ahead and explain what this is. So this is your volume weighted average price, okay, your VWAP. I'm pretty sure everybody has heard of that by now. This indicator also has the standard deviations, or I've opted to have the standard deviations on. They are all default. I do not touch them. But normally what ends up happening is combined with the SMI indicator up here, when you start getting into an area to the top side or to the downside and you start seeing divergence forming when you're hitting or surpassing the second or third standard deviation, normally that means that you're in for some kind of a retrace here. That's exactly what we're seeing. We closed an inside bar with Heiken Ashi as a spinning top, and now it's starting to come back down to the downside. So I would expect a little bit of mean reversal here. Again, that short scalp scenario, a lot of you free guys are getting tons of free alpha today. That would be the short target for me for the short scalp, is like 38.3, maybe 38 at its like lowest. But if we hit 38.3, 350, I'd probably be at least cutting half of the position there. But we do have the volume flipping over now. Okay, so we've got a bullish volume bar being generated here. This closes in the next 3 minutes. This is going to confirm underneath. This is the Wada Atar explosion. It's just the volume indicator that I personally like to use. And our bullish volume bar is going to be closing below our explosion line here. Okay, so that means that we do have a reversal in trend here. We don't know for how long. Obviously, we can't predict the future. But as mentioned, this VWAP line here, 38.3 or 38.350, just to front run it a little bit. That would probably be my target for a short term, a short scalp here. Let's go ahead and take a look at our big charts. So first, I'm going to start at the weekly. I'm going to work my way down. I don't want this stream to be like incredibly long. So I'm probably only going to run for like the next 15, 20 minutes or so. And then I have to start preparing for a meeting that I have at noon. But anyway, weekly chart here has been all over the place. This is the reason for all the volatility. This is the reason for all of the just lack of consensus of where the price is going all over social media, in the news, mainstream media, whatever you want to call it. And that's easily illustrated here by these wicks on your screen. Okay, so these last 2 weeks that we've had, just huge price swings. Okay, from 37 all the way down to 34.5, and then back up all the way to 45, and then all the way back down again. So these are some pretty big liquidity grabs. So we're in kind of a weird situation right now. Normally we don't get very big wicks on weekly candles back to back like this. Sure, we get big wicks and stuff and big moves, but normally you don't see humongo wicks like this in either direction right next to each other. So I'm almost tempted to call this, even looking back here, we had 2 wicks, but it wasn't like top side, downside. So I don't know. That was a massive top signal. I almost want to call this a weekly swing failure. It's like we tried to swing to the bottom side and it just rejected hardcore to the top side. And then it was basically just break even. It literally closed where it opened. So that's actually kind of weird. That doesn't happen very often, especially on a weekly chart. Let's look at our indicators and just kind of see what we have going on here. If you've noticed, I've drawn just some overall general range lines here for the weekly chart. So we've got our upper extreme up here at 60, basically 65. We've got our lower extreme down here at like 28. obviously that's a massive range, right? So here's our midline in the center, which is basically what we've been struggling to climb above right now, which in my opinion is not a good thing, is 42K. 42K has just been absolutely very, very difficult to close above literally since January. Okay, so it's been a few months that we just have not been able to close back above 42. And then between our midline and our lower extreme and our midline and our upper extreme, I have these kind of other like smaller midlines, right? For like the smaller range, right? So this is our bottom half and this is our median line for the bottom half of our range. And this one is for the top half. Okay, so that's kind of what that is. This is a really awkward place to be in here, especially smashed between our lower range median line and the overall median line of this entire range. Really, really iffy place to be. I said that I think last week or the week before, like I had the surgeries and all that crap. This has been a really, really rough spot to be trading in. Our indicators for the most part have been flat for the last 2 months. Bearish volume slowly decreasing, but still there. So far on the weekly chart, we have put in a higher low here in terms of candle closes and opens, which is good. But the momentum is looking like total garbage here, and it's basically just flat along with our other indicators. So let's move down to a daily time frame and see if we can kind of see what we got. All right, so on the daily chart, let's take a look at Ichimoku Cloud real quick. Get the other indicators off the screen, just kind of zoom into this most recent price action here, okay? So as expected, we did not break through the 200 EMA on the first try. So I believe this was just before my surgery. This was on the first of the month. I said, okay, if we're getting into the cloud, we're either going to pull an end to end here off this huge candle and we're going to go all the way to tap 50, or we're going to hit the 200 EMA and we're going to reject and kind of bounce around. At that point, I was looking for the 50 EMA to be holding, and it didn't. We just blasted right through it again, which is typically not good. Now, there are some good signs here. Like I mentioned before, this is so far 1, 2, and hopefully a third higher low here. Now, with equal highs, that's not necessarily a good thing, but at least we are making higher lows. Okay, so we actually just, I guess, yesterday on this bearish candle had a confirmed bullish cross on our Tengen and our Kijun line. So while we are below this huge red cloud here, that's slightly bullish, but I do want to start seeing closes above like 40K. We need to start retesting that 42K area, which is basically our 50 EMA now, if we want to see any momentum. So let's get that off our screen. That's kind of where we stand with that. And we'll take a look at just our indicators. Really fucking choppy in here. Same equal high here in price, as well as on our KMAC indicator. This indicator is free, by the way. That's just a modified MACD. You guys can get that for free. Just go up here, type KMAC. There it is. Okay. Anyway, really low bearish volume here so far on this retrace. And that's what gives me a little more, I guess, confidence that we could potentially be actually putting in a third higher low here. So the bullish scenario for that, let me switch to another layout to illustrate this. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, sure. We can use this one. I don't normally do Elliott wave, but when I do, it looks like this. So basically what I'm proposing in terms of Elliott wave theory, for those of you that do that stuff, is just a massive flat here. So there is a really good chance that we could see another move to the downside to actually be testing this 382. In fact, I would prefer it. So this is a little conflicting because I want to be bullish so bad, but this is screaming at me and it's just so obvious here with this 5-wave count. Obviously this would be moved, I guess, we could even have another move for a triple tap to the top side here, which is possible. But anyway, this is pretty much what I'm looking for here in terms of like the longer term. On the macro chart, this would be short-term bearish and this would be long-term bullish. Why would I say it's long-term bullish? Well, because this entire thing is a flat correction, right? So even if we get, this would be a flat. And then if we got a expanded flat, that would look something like this, where we come really deep down into like the mid 20s. Okay. With our C going beyond the length of our wave A. So that is typical of an expanded flat. We would need some really, really serious, crazy negative news for that to happen, because that would be the capitulation event, in my opinion. That would be when institutions, banks, whatever, anybody that's huge, accumulating millions or billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, that might be their capitulation based on where their average buys was. When I refer to that, I'm mostly referring to Michael Saylor. I think his average buy-in price now is basically where we're sitting in price. So he's pretty much break even. If the price goes down another $10,000, he's going to be forced to sell. Why? Because he's not using his money. He's using his investors' money. If Michael Saylor capitulates, that would be probably a move down to, the mid 20s or below 20, in my opinion. But anyway, so those are pretty much the two scenarios that I have here for in terms of Elliott wave count. Now, the bullish situation, let's go to a clean chart. The bullish situation is that we've got something like this. Now, typically, these are actually really rare for reversal patterns, but they actually used to happen all the time with Bitcoin, but they don't happen as much now. But anyway, we've basically got this ascending triangle down here, right? We're getting higher lows. This is potentially a third higher low here. And we're just kind of bouncing around in this triangle, just tapping, 1, 2, 3 taps to the top side here, and 3 taps to the bottom side. So there is the possibility that we could come up, and if we break this high, the next area of resistance that we'd be looking at is up in here around 50K. Okay. Again, this is the daily time frame, so this is a relatively higher time frame. This isn't something that's going to play out this week. I'd very much doubt that. But over time, if this did play out, this would probably be the most bullish scenario in terms of like any kind of reversal incoming for Bitcoin. Would be this is just an ascending triangle at the bottom. Okay, so now if we saw this to the downside and this chart was flipped upside down, this would definitely be like a continuation to the downside. For instance, if it was like this instead. See what I'm saying here? Okay, like you guys know what I mean. An ascending triangle versus a descending triangle. Okay, that obviously would be bearish. So here, putting in higher lows and equal highs isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just means that we're in for a lot of chop, but we're at an inflection point that could potentially be a pretty large reversal here. Am I overall bearish? I mean, obviously I have been through all of this. I mean, once we rejected here and we lost this area of consolidation here, this was pretty much bad news bears. This was the short up here from 50K. But hindsight is 2020. In terms of indicators on the daily chart, again, super fucking choppy here, equal highs. So let's come down to a 4-hour chart and see what we got here. This is why trading on lower timeframes can be so risky, guys. I mean, like, look at how choppy this is on these intra-week and intra-month timeframes. And then once you start getting down into like the 5-15-minute chart, it's just a disaster. We've been hovering around the lower limit of our RSI, which is not necessarily a good thing, but it normally means consolidation. And we do have our bearish volume starting to taper off here. Our momentum is really, really non-existent here on our KMAC. Like if you zoom in and you look at this, look at how low all of this momentum has been through here compared to like, your normal swings, right? Like this is like really, really dodgy in here over the weekend with this price action specifically in here. So that leads me to think that on this kind of lower time frame, this is the area to be breaking here. We basically need to close above 39.5. That's not too bad, but then you've got that 40K resistance. So I would like to call it 40K, or maybe you just use this breaker low. Okay. as the overall 39,750. Okay, so if you really want to get nitpicky with it, you could probably just draw a box here so that you don't have to use a specific number, and you can just say, okay, this is the range that we need to be breaking. This is our resistance. You label that shit red and you leave that there. Okay, so tapping this resistance, we want a short resistance, we want a long support, right? So I'm just going to kind of go through and just kind of show you guys how I do this. Okay, so that's pretty much our range here. This would be our support. This is our area of demand. This is our area of supply. Okay, and then you've got like a midline, which is basically right here. Okay, and that's your midline for the range. Okay, works out nicely, doesn't that? Okay, this isn't magic. Now, notice how when I'm drawing these, I'm mostly using the candle the bodies and not the wicks. Okay, I use the wicks for like the extremes of the areas, but I normally start off drawing my boxes from the actual close or open of a candle. Why? Wicks are only highs or lows. Okay, if you've got indicators or you've got shit that is supposedly a leading indicator that is not being calculated or taking into an account the candle close, then that indicator is called a repainter, okay? Because guess what it's going to do? The candle's going to close, and then the indicator after the next candle close is going to change its mind, and that signal that it printed 2 candles ago is going to disappear. Those are shit indicators. Those are the ones that people like to call leading indicators. There's no fucking such thing, okay? I'll tell you that right now. There's no such thing. If there was a leading indicator, that means that that person must also own a fucking time machine. Okay, there's no such thing as a leading indicator. I don't give a shit who you are, how long you've been trading. It does not exist. Okay, you can't predict price action before it happens. I can't. That's one of my biggest pet peeves with people on Twitter. Look, I found the godlike indicator that fucking it's a leading indicator. Look how good it is, and it looks 100% on point on the back test. But that's because the back test has already happened, so it's had time to adjust, and it's calling perfect tops and bottoms, and then that's what they sell. Yeah, I don't do that with my indicators or algos. And, obviously with how well they've performed, you guys know that. So just be on the lookout for that. Okay. Little alpha tip right there. If you ever hear anybody that says that they have a leading indicator, just dismiss it. Don't get hyped up about it. If you do, you're going to start using it, and then you're going to lose money because you're going to refresh your chart one day after it said to take a long, you're going to take a long, and then the price is going to reverse. And then the next day you're going to log into TradingView, refresh your chart, and that signal that you took is just going to be gone. Hold on one second, guys. Hello. Good morning. I'm doing a live stream right now. What are you doing? Yeah, no, I'm fine. Do you want me to call you back after? I have a meeting at noon. I can call you in between. Oh, you do? Oh, okay, cool. What? Yeah, will do. All right, love you too. Bye. Sorry, guys, I was the wife. Happy wife, happy life. Got to answer that phone call. Anyway, I forgot what I was talking about. Leading indicators. If you find one or you hear somebody talking about it, just dismiss it. Chances are, if they really believe that it's actually giving them valid signals, chances are they've only been trading for like 2 or less years. Which isn't to knock anybody that's a beginner trader, but there's a lot of things out there that unfortunately you just learn them as time goes on. It's just something that comes with just experience of being in the space. I try to give you guys as much information as possible so that you newer traders out there can avoid those things. And just not waste time and money and portfolio size to figure out that they're bullshit. Okay. I do that to look out for you. I know that I'm more intense with it and strongly worded or opinionated, but I feel like that's for the best, because in trading, there's no middle ground. There's you're right or you're wrong. If you're wrong, someone else is right. If you're right, someone else is wrong. That's the way it is. Very cut and dry, very simple. So anyway, there's that. Back to the stream. This is where we're at right now. Okay. So another thing that I like to do, and you guys know this, is if you're unsure about the position you're taking, click this little cog wheel down in the bottom right corner of your screen, click invert scale, boop. Okay. And check to see what you would do here. Okay. So what would you be doing here? If this chart was actually flipped upside down and it looked like this, and these red candles are green and the green candles are red and these are flip-flopped or whatever, and this is your resistance, what would you be doing here? Chances are you would be longing the retest of support, right? I mean, that's what I would be doing, right? I mean, 90% of you have only traded in a bull market. So if the market is bearish, use those same tactics that worked in a bull market and just flip your fucking chart upside down. Very simple. Very, very, very simple trick to do. So move to the top side. It looks like we're consolidating. This could potentially be a blow off here. We're retesting our support area. So this would be the long here. And this would basically be what you're looking for, for the continuation. Well, if you flip your chart back upside down or right side up, that's what that looks like. Okay. So same techniques that you would be using for a bull market, just flip your chart upside down, do the same fucking thing, except if you would be going long on that upside down chart, you would actually be going short. Those of you that trade on KuCoin that prefer trading on spot, you can use the BTC, I think it's called 3S. BTC 3S is the pairing. So basically it's literally the inverse chart of Bitcoin, and you can actually short Bitcoin on spot with no leverage. Because you're literally trading the inverse chart. Really cool idea. I don't know why other exchanges don't have it. I feel like that should be like a mandatory thing on all Bitcoin exchanges, is the ability to trade the inverse chart and short on spot. I don't know why that's not a thing. What the hell? Anyway, so let's come down to a 1 hour time frame. For that, I'm going to use my main layouts here, which is here. Okay. So, 1 hour. Okay. We're in between two major ranges right now. And this is basically what I've been avoiding trading in here. Like all of this, I tried to avoid trading, but then the top side was very limited here. Well, I wouldn't say very limited. I mean, because that's still, if I would have longed this breakout and then exited here on the confirmation of the breakdown, still a 7% move. Maybe if I got out early or I started scaling out, like a 10% move, not bad. So I mean, on spot, that's spot. So 2x leverage is 20% play. So there was still definitely an opportunity here. There's always opportunities in the market. We just have to find the how do you say? You just have to find the best ones. You know what I mean? That are going to play out the highest. There we go. The highest probability setups. Okay. Right now, this is not really a high probability setup. Okay. This isn't a high probability setup. On the lower time frames, are we putting in higher lows here? Yeah, we are. In terms of this, and I mean like the really low time frames, like the 15-minute time frame, right? Low, higher low, higher low, higher high, higher high, higher low, presumably, right? But then also on the big time frames, we also have, like on the daily chart, right? Low, higher low, presumably a higher low. Okay, so you want to take these things into account. But on this daily chart here, on this 1 hour chart, so far this is just, it's just not looking good. We've got like this slow bleeder here. It looks like we just, if you had a trend line drawn from this swing top and you connected your wicks appropriately, without adjusting for this most recent price action and doing this, you probably would have had this drawn, right? So I like to draw it how I would have drawn it if this price action hadn't occurred yet, to just kind of see where we stand. And the same thing goes for this, right? We probably would have had something like this. So basically just a descending channel. You might even just be able to get away with using the descending channel tool on this and saying, okay, that's our channel, right? Oh, wow. It even lines up with this wick. I just saw that, right? These wicks and that. So you want to get as many touches in as possible. Again, free on my YouTube. I've got tutorials on all this stuff. Supply and demand, support and resistance, visible range, volume weighted average price, channels, fucking how to range trade, all of that stuff. So make sure you guys go check that out. Again, all those links are in the Discord for you. But if we were going to be playing this channel, let's say we're just price action traders, right? And we're just price action trading this on a 1 hour chart today, trying to get our bearings, right? Well, you've got one level of support here at our previous consolidation area, which is around 38. And then you've got your low of the channel, which you probably wouldn't want to see a close below here. If you did, that's danger. So if you start seeing closes today or tomorrow, whatever, below 37,750, 37,750, that sounds familiar. 37,750 was my front run target for a short on this move. So if you guys shorted during the beginning of the stream when I said, hey, this is good for a short scalp, you guys are definitely in profit right now. Like while the stream is playing out, I should have just taken that fucking. I can't turn my VPN on because it's gonna just destroy the fucking quality. Anyway, 37,750, that's danger. You break below this channel line, which I guess is, you know, the lowest extreme is like 37.3. That probably means that you're taking a little dip down into the 35, 36K area again. Okay. So if we really wanted to, we really could draw like a midline through here. And you guys that have been in the group for a long time, you guys know I friggin' hate trading near median lines. And this is exactly why, right? We used it as support, up, then we dipped under. Then it looked like we bounced, then we dipped under, but we didn't come down to supply. Now we bounced back up, we're getting a double top, and now we're retracing back down to them. It's just so fucking choppy in these median ranges. And I just typically ignore them and I just don't trade them manually. At the end of the days, guys, I mean, does this really, you know, like all of this in here, does this really look like fun trading to you? No. Okay, no. These are the kind of markets when I see price structure like this, normally this is the kind of shit that I just step away from and just let it do its thing and consolidate for a week or a couple weeks or whatever, and then come back to it. So there's always opportunities. There's always other markets that you can be trading. I still have a position from oil from 2020 open that, what did I get it? If you guys remember the day that oil crashed and traded negative, I got in it before close that same day at like 270 on an ETF, or it was the next day when they did the reverse split or something, and it was like $2 or $5 or something. And now oil is like $120, $130. Like it's ridiculous. I actually closed half the position at $100 and I'm just letting the rest ride. But in the last 2 years, that's probably my most successful trade. And actually, that's probably one of my top 3 trades over my entire trading career, which started in like 2009. Okay, so like 15 years or 12 years or whatever. And that's like one of my top 3 trades. It's like kind of one of those generational, you got lucky trades, which is why that's probably a trade I'm going to hold on to fucking forever. But anyway, back to overall ranges here. This is just a really sticky situation to be. The range on the weekly chart is in a weird position. The range on the daily chart, okay, is in a really weird position here, just sitting under this. I haven't even changed this to green or red yet because it's just been so shitty through here. But you know, it's really tough to call. Let's come down to a 15-minute time frame and see really what's going on. We'll take a look at our indicators on the 15-minute. So it looks like we're staying above the 56 area for now. That's good. As soon as it comes down below 56, it's kind of in like no man's land. That's normally when I end up holding trades that I'm in. And then if you see the RSI close below the 44 mark, normally that's when I either cut longs or flip short or whatever. But anyway, top signal here was actually given very early on the KMAC, mostly because of just the incredibly low momentum that the bulls had through this second half of the move to the top side here. And we actually got the bearish signal on this candle. So that would have been confirmed here. So, and that was basically the beginning of the stream. So again, if you would have shorted at the beginning of the stream here, or no, that's 9. So I guess it would have been 9:15 or 9:30. Yeah, let's say you got in here, right? stop above the last high, which is also this high. If it was me, I would probably put it above this high here, okay, just so I don't get wicked out. And then I'd be looking for like, 37, first, what did I say, like 38 or whatever as my first target, this consolidation zone. So just call it here. So, almost a 2-to-1 trade, not too bad, 1% stop loss. Pretty good setup for a scalp. But chances are, if you're scalping and you're using high leverage and you got in on that, chances are your stop is above this candle wick here, or this candle wick right here. And then you'd be looking for something like this, which is still a 2-to-1 trade, or down here, which would be like a 3-to-1 trade. But anyway, regardless, pretty clear cut and dry level of resistance here. Well, not necessarily resistance, but supply here. Okay, between like 39 and like 39.3 or whatever. It's a pretty decent place to be shorting. It looks like all of this pretty much is resistance in here. Okay, so laddering shorts, this would have been the place to do it. If you eyed this level of resistance earlier, then kudos for you. This was kind of like the fake breakout nonsense, and then this has been acting as resistance ever since. But for right now, in our most immediate area, those of you that are scalpers, you guys like trading on lower time frames, yeah, this would definitely be the short here. So if we want to measure and we want to get some confluence with targets, right? We can measure these two. We just tapped the 382. So that actually might have been my first take profit there, or close to it on the short. 0.5 is our overall midline of the range here, like our overall big range, not this range. And then you've got golden pocket between 38,225 and 38, basically. So like a $200 range here. So that's pretty much that. Now, if you were trying to get into a long here and you were trying to actually use these fib levels as supports to be laddering into longs, you could do that. I'm actually known for doing that. However, you need to be very careful doing that. You need to do it with low leverage. And you also need to be laddering your position. So if you were like, oh yeah, I'm going to enter at the 382, you don't go in with full size on one entry, right? You use like 25% of your total position size at the 382. You lay another 50% down, at like the 0.5, and then you can have the rest of your bids in here. You could have 2, 3, 4 of them, or whatever for those deep entries down here. Okay. That would be if you were planning for something like this, where you wanted, your stop below here, you want your average entry here at this, this level of consolidation. You want your stop below this, this little 1, 2, this third consecutive higher low here. And then you'd be looking for additional top side to be breaking out of this range. And that would be the long play, basically, that you would be looking for on that. So you could try and catch that knife. There's nothing wrong with doing that. People do that all the time. Obviously, it's not sound trading advice for me to say, oh yeah, go ahead, trade, go try and catch falling knives, right? Go blow all your capital. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have to use your risk management, use your common sense, right? Use your noggin, use risk management, ladder your entries. Don't go crazy with the leverage. Keep it conservative so that way, if you are wrong, with chances are catching a knife, normally you are going to be wrong. You're not like blowing up your fucking portfolio because you tried to catch a knife. Okay. So, I think that's pretty much it. I'm not going to go over alts today. I'm going to do that later in the week. So I'm going to go ahead and switch, back to camera only. But anyway, I really appreciate you guys being with me today. Again, thank you for all, of the love and support, from you guys with the whole, like medical issues and whatnot. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, whatever, feel free to tag me in the Discord. Those of you guys that are newer that haven't been here before, again, make sure that you go and you check out all of those. Just explore the Discord if you haven't been here before. Like find out what the premium group is about. Find out, what all the links that I have and all that stuff. I believe the read first, the help, and the Astrobit news channel and the Algo news channel. I'm pretty sure those are all public for everybody. The only one that isn't, it's for Algo users only, is the Algo chat, so that they can't accidentally disclose what the Algo is doing. That would defeat its purpose, right? But anyway, yeah, like go, read all about these things, figure out what they are. I'm going to have more videos coming in the future. I'm going to go get back to doing YouTube videos and stuff this week. This being the first one of those, since this is going to be the replay up on YouTube. But again, I appreciate you guys all being here. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm going to be looking for positions here in just a little bit. I'm actually going to be going into private mode for those of you that are either Venom users or premium members. I'm going to hop on over to the members voice channel and kind of explain to you guys what my plan is for scalping this and setting up a position for the day. So those of you that are premium or Algo members, hop over onto the members side, and I will be with you guys in just a second. For the rest of you, again, I hope you have a wonderful week, have a wonderful morning, and until next time, happy trading.